After 2.5 days of deliberation, the jury in the Nina Reiser murder trial has reached a decision.
Hans in court that day, when the jury came back with their verdict, you could see he looks surprised. His tie's not on right. It's very loose. It's like it's waiting to be choked. And he looks utterly disheveled. The defense attorney, William DeBlois, looks very sad. He knows the jury's come back too soon.
They were not out deliberating for a very long period of time. They didn't ask any questions. And they came back with first-degree murder, which was the maximum crime they could have convicted him of.
And still, Hans Reiser tries to get the last word.
I specifically remember Hans's response because I thought it was so telling. He stood up and he said, "I was the best father I knew how to be."
What he's basically saying in that moment is, I killed the mother to save the child. What kind of response to that? He's been found guilty of murder. He murdered their mother.
Reiser and his team have one more surprise for the prosecution. They're ready to reveal the location of Nina's body in exchange for a lighter sentence.
During the trial, Mr. Orr and I had a conversation with Nina's mom, and she indicated that she really wanted to take Nina home.
So once again, Hora comes to Reiser with an offer.
If you tell me where Nina's body is, you tell me what happened that day, how you killed her, and you plead guilty to second-degree murder, and you waive every appellate right you have, there'll be no appeal in this case, then we've got a deal.
We discussed the divorce.
They got into an argument.
This caused me to become enraged, and I killed her. And I shouldn't have done that. I'm very sorry that I did.
What method did you use to do it? Did you strike her?
I stopped the blood flowing to her head. I placed my hands on both sides of her neck, and in the most unsophisticated chokehold that any judo instructor would completely despise you for ever using, I choked her. It was completely painless for her. It's the least painful way to die, but...
Right there in the living room, near the front door. He said that it was quick, it was quiet, and the kids didn't hear it.
After killing her, he put her in a bag, like a duffel bag, and she was placed in a car in the CRX, and she was left there until he had dug the holes where he actually buried her. He indicated that it took a couple nights to dig the holes. When the kids were sleeping, that's when he was digging.
Couldn't help but think about that drawing Rory had drawn, and that he was right. He saw something. His mother was in a bag. How could that little boy have known that his mother was in a bag?
Handcuffed to his lawyer, Reiser proceeds down a narrow deer path off the main trail.
Hans stopped, he knelt down, and was quiet. One of the police officers said to him, "What are you doing, Hans? I mean, where is she? Are we close?" He said, "She's right up there." And we walked back up the hill through the bushes, you know, maybe 15, 20 feet, and saw a spot under the bushes. If he hadn't been pointed out to you, you would have never seen it. He said she's about 2 feet deep inside a duffel bag. And when the police dug down 2 feet, the first thing they hit was the handle to the duffel bag. Sure enough, she was in there.
I went there the next day after they had finally taken down the barricades, and I climbed down to the grave that Hans had dug for Nina. And I nearly cried. To hate someone that much, and to just think of her unceremoniously dumped in this hole with no marker. I hated him the most in that moment.
Still, Hora knows he did right by Nina Reiser.
Her kids will know, and her parents will know, her friends will know. Where's Nina? Well, we know now. She's dead, and Hans killed her. Her family gets to decide where she's buried, not her killer.
Reiser is sentenced to 15 years to life in state prison.
When Hans gets to a level 4 yard in the real prison system, Hans is going to learn about control, and he will learn that he does not have it. He will also learn what it means to be a wife, and it is somehow fitting that this man who took a wife will likely end up as one.
Exactly 2 years after she was murdered, Nina is finally laid to rest in Russia, where her children now live with their grandparents.
Nina was recently buried. There was a service held on September 3rd, 2008, which would be the 2-year anniversary of her death. And she was buried properly.
This case was a sad ending to something that we've all been a part of, an emotional argument.